Good evening, everyone. This is our day one on learning Cypress. Okay, we'll start from very basic. We'll talk about what this course is about, how to prepare yourself for this learning, how to overcome fear of coding, um, how much dedication is required here, how to develop the interest also. Okay, and we will have something else also here, installing VS Code. I'll explain everything. Okay. So about the course, if you will see here, we will learn JavaScript first, and there is a logical reason why we should learn JavaScript first. Okay, so some topics we will cover in coming days. So I mentioned here all the topics, and then we will learn Cypress. Okay, so Cypress is a test automation tool that we will learn, and it's a very good tool, right? And through that, we will understand how automation works, how to create the framework. We'll learn Cucumber also. We will learn GitHub, Jenkins. We'll learn about continuous integration using Git and Jenkins. Right? Those things, lot of things, lot of learning. Okay. So let's start with like courses like I have shown you through the Excel sheet, right? But let's understand that why automation is important, right? That is also an important part. Why we have to learn automation, right? Why everyone is learning automation nowadays, or why most of the companies they want to hire the candidate who are equally good in manual testing as well as test automation, right? The reason is very obvious. The reason is you are working in agile environment, right? Or maybe you're following sprints, right? You're following Scrum. So there you have limited number of days for testing or the test execution, correct? Limited number of days you have for testing or test execution. So in agile development, what happens is, or rapid application development, what happens is you have, let's say 15 days, 10 to 15 days of, the whole development, correct? So you have 15 days for the sprint, we say, right? In 15 days, generally 10 days are for, I'm just taking a random example here, 10 days for coding, right? The proper coding part from the development side. And then you have 2 to 3 days for testing. Generally, it's like this. Proper testing, test execution, you have 2 to 3 days. Now, this is irrespective of how many test cases you have. Even if you have 20 test cases, you will get 2 to 3 days of testing. Even if you have 200 test cases, then also you have 2 to 3 days of testing. Even if you have 500 test cases, 500 test cases, then also you have 2 to 3 days of testing. It's same. Now the problem with this is you have limited number of resources, right? They are not going to hire more test engineers if there are more number of test cases to execute. The number of test engineers are same, and you have to perform this. Now the thing is, if it is manual, right? Manually you have to uh, execute all your test cases, right? It will take some time, right? So let's say one test case takes, and on average, let's say it takes 5 minutes. Okay. Now, 200 test cases, how much time it will take? It will take 1000 minutes. Correct. So 1000 minutes You can calculate like how many hours it will be, right? The thing is, um, there is a problem then, because when you have 200 test cases, when you have to do manually, what we do is, as a tester, we generally may skip some of the test cases thinking that, okay, it always work. Why to execute those test cases? Correct. So the accuracy may be impacted by checking the things manually, right? May get impacted, or completeness of the testing may get impacted, right? Completeness, correct? So that's why automation is important. So once you automate it, you will save the time, save the time, right? And you will concentrate more on the new functionality testing. So when you automate your old test cases, right, or existing test cases or regression test cases, right, you will run it in automated mode, and the new functionality you will have more time to check those things, right? So that's why automation is important. Okay. Now let's understand how application development happens, right? How it works. So let's take an example of simple web page, right? I generally give this example. Let me show you something. Wait, I will open it. Or any website. You can take any website example. Orange HRM, something like this is there. So let's say when I click on book a free demo, right? And you have to provide your full name, country, business email, phone number, and this you check, and then you will click on the submit, right? So what happens is, this is called user interface, right? This is like your UI part where you are doing some action, correct? So one part which you have, which you see, is user interface, correct? This will be called UI layer, UI layer, or this is called presentation layer, correct? Technically. Now you are providing some details here, correct? And then you are clicking on submit. Where it goes, when you click on the submit, where it goes? It goes to some server, okay? Maybe that is called application layer or the business layer, okay? So that is called application layer, business layer, or middle level servers, okay? Servers. Simple. In simple term, it's server, okay? Now when you click here your name, your business email, your country, phone number, you click on the submit, these details are getting saved somewhere, correct? So it gets saved in database, right? So here you have your database layer. This is a very simple, you can say, architecture to understand it, how it, how our application works. And I'm talking about web applications, right? I'm not talking about any mobile app or some other application which does not require user interface. I'm talking about simple web applications. Okay. So let's say this is a login page, and this login is made of, this page is made of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Okay. So the language used to create this is generally HTML, CSS, JavaScript. Now, when you do something here, let's say if I'll put some email ID and password here, test@test.com, and some random password, I'm providing some invalid detail. And if I click on login, right, it shows me an error message that invalid login, try again. So what has happened in the background? In the background, it is connecting to this, right? It is passing those details here in the middle layer. This middle layer or the backend, right? It is made of what? It is made of um, .NET, they say, right? .NET or Java or Python, right? There are different frameworks for backend part, right? So there may be different things here, right? So this request is going to the middle layer. We'll say the request. And it is going in some other format. Basically, when you're filling a detail here, it goes in some API call format. Okay. So if you go to the inspect and then you will check it, you will get to know that it is happening through some API call. Okay. Now, once you do this request, now it will check in the database, hey, whether that user is present or not, right? It will check it. Then only it will go to further pages, right? If you are successfully able to log in it. Or even if you are not able to log in, basically in the application layer, it will prepare some kind of query and it will hit to the database layer and the response will come back. If the user is there, it will say that, okay, user is there, you can go ahead to show some other pages. If user is not there, right, it will tell you that, okay, this user is not present or some kind of error will come, right? And then again, it will make the response in the format that, right, the presentation layer will be able to show, right? So this will be response in HTML. So it will prepare some HTML format, a proper, the format where a browser can read those things and show into the user interface. Okay. Now, if you will talk about what kind of testing we do, right, at different layers, right? Here in the first layer, what you perform? You perform UI functional testing, correct? Functional testing generally, or different kind of other testing which is related to user interface, correct? In the middle layer, what you perform? You perform API testing. API testing. In the database layer, you perform database testing by writing queries, right? If you're doing this kind of testing, correct? How you perform UI functional testing manually or through automation, you use different kind of tools, Selenium, Cypress, UFT, or there are thousands of tools available in the market. Okay. In API testing, how you do it? You may be performing through Postman, right? Or you are doing some automation using REST assured or SOAP UI. In database layer, you write the queries. How database is made of? It is made of, let's say, Oracle. There are different database available, right? MySQL, PostgreSQL, MongoDB, lot of things. Okay, I am not going into that part as of now. We have to understand simple structure, that what happens when you do what. Okay, fine. J meter, somebody said J meter. J meter is for performance testing. Okay. We are as of now talking about the functional check, more on functional part. Okay. So this is the basic structure, what you do. So what we are going to learn is we are going to learn about more of this part. Let me do some color coding. So we are going to talk more on this part. Okay. This part. We are not going to talk about the other layer testing, right? When you do API testing, generally you don't care about how the user interface will look like, right? The middle layer is for the API checks, right? You don't worry about how user interface will be. And when you do database layer testing, you even don't worry about how UI will look like, how API works. You are concerned about database input and output part. Okay. But in the UI layer, there are a lot of tools available to do, you know, testing and automation part. Okay. Coming back to preparation part. Now we'll talk about the real thing. How to prepare for the learning part, right? First thing I'm saying, guys, is relax and understand that what is the right way to learn test automation. If you want to learn UI automation, right, then don't be in hurry to learn any random tool. Start with HTML, okay? Then learn CSS. Then learn JavaScript, okay? And then learn any tool. So let's say we are going to learn Cypress. Now the question is how much time it will take to learn this thing. Generally, we are in very much hurry that we want to learn something in 60 days or 20 hours or 40 hours. Okay. So I'm giving you the basic idea, how much time generally it takes if you're starting from scratch. Okay. And how much time actually you should invest also. How much time you should spend on this. Okay. HTML. HTML, it will take around 15 days if you will learn it seriously, right? CSS, 5 days. Basic thing we have to learn. We are not going to learn as a web developer, right? JavaScript, 1 month at least. So JavaScript is never ending learning. You will learn throughout your life, right? But basic, I'm saying prerequisite part to start with the Cypress, you should invest a good amount of time, which is like 1 month as of now. Cypress, it will take 2 to 3 months. So I'm saying how you have to learn it. Like our course maybe will go on different pace, right? It may happen, but I'm saying that this much time it will take if you want to learn it properly. Okay. And it's very easy, believe me, it's not difficult. Okay. Now, how to learn this thing? I'll I'll talk about this in my all upcoming sessions. Don't worry about it. And I will try to answer all your questions. Okay. So HTML, CSS, first thing is why this is important to learn. The thing is, if you learn these things, your life will become easy. If you are good in understanding how websites are made, right? If you know how this website is created, what kind of text box it is, what kind of, whether it is a button or a link, right? Then your life will be easy. So for example, you can anytime say right click and say inspect. Okay. So inspect is you can inspect any element in the user interface. And this arrow icon you can use to understand what is the code behind any element. any text box. So see here, it's showing me that it is input type text, name is equals to this, class is equals to this. There is a particular hierarchy also, right? We will understand this thing later on. But this code is written in HTML. Okay, the whole code is written in HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So if you understand HTML as a test automation engineer, your life will be easy. You will understand it very easily, how to automate, right? How to find an element, those things. That's why learning HTML is important. But how to learn it? So you can go to W3 Schools. There is a website called W3 Schools, and don't underestimate it. Generally, we think, why to learn HTML? It's very easy, or it's childish to learn this thing. It's not like that, guys. HTML is very important. Generally, we underestimate it, right? While learning automation. So I am telling you the right way of learning, starting your journey on the test automation side. Even if you have already started with some other tool, let's say Selenium or some other tool, I'm suggesting go back to the basic and learn HTML first, right? You will feel the difference when you will try to automate them. Okay. So HTML, you should learn it from here, step by step, chapter by chapter. And it will be fun to learn this thing. In the second half of this tutorial today, I'll take some example for the HTML part. Don't worry. CSS chapters are also here. JavaScript chapters are also here. This is for your reference only. I'm going to take class from some other references, right? When I'll do some JavaScript example, I'll do it from somewhere else. Okay. Going back to this. So 15 days means I'm saying 15 hours. Every day, if you will spend on your own, 15 hours it will take. 5 hours you spend on the CSS side, 30 hours. So let me put it 30 hours. And this is minimum for the JavaScript part. Okay. 30 hours spent on the JavaScript side. Cypress, just 2 to 3 months, because you can learn it in 1 month, but the thing is you have to practice them, right? It's a big thing. Cypress is not like uh, some small thing you will learn and you will understand. It's not like that. It will take time, but it is very interesting, and you'll be able to automate anything, okay, from the UI perspective. Now coming back to this part, fear of coding. Some of you may have fear of coding, that I'm not good in the coding, I'm not good in the programming part. I feel, distress when I see some kind of programming. I'm not able to understand the syntax and all, right? If you have this kind of fear, so mm, leave it. What I'm saying is leave those fears now, right? Programming is fun. Programming is fun. And that is to solve a problem. Program is also always solving a problem. Program is all about solving a problem, right? So if you take it in that way, you know, you will develop an interest that I want to solve a problem, right? And believe me, there is a too much hype has been created around coding. Coding is not difficult. It's is all about, a kind of learning a language. When you learn a language, you have to understand its grammar. You have to understand its accent, right? You have to understand how to talk, when to take a pause, right? In the real world languages, right? Communication languages. In the same way, programming language also has its syntax, its rules, right? Once you understand it, it will be very easy for you. Okay. So we are going to do all those things. Don't worry about it. I am suggesting is lose your fears. Lose your fear. There is nothing to worry. Okay. Moreover, if you want to become test automation engineer, it's not like that in 60 days you will learn everything or 90 days course. No, it's not like that. You have to learn throughout your career, right? It's like this. So if a person is 15-year experience and if you ask him that whether you are good in programming, they will not say that I'm master in that program. They will always say that I'm still learning, right? The genuine programmers or genuine test engineers will always say that I'm still learning something. I'm learning day by day, like this. Now the question is, how much dedication required? A good level of dedication required when you want to learn test automation. You have to practice a lot. You have to ask questions. If you think that you will attend my session and just by seeing it, you will learn it, it's not going to happen. You have to show a great level of dedication. Whenever I'm giving you some kind of assignment, you should complete it. If you're not able to do it, you should ask the question and you have to do in a particular way also, right? So if we are learning today HTML, do it with me. Okay. Now, my um, strategy is a bit different when we are doing or we are learning this. Whatever I am doing in my system, you should do on your system also at the same time, parallelly. Okay. So don't join these sessions through mobile. You have to join it through laptop or desktop system so that you can do practical then and there. Okay. I am going to be very slow. I'm not going to be very fast on the programming or test automation side. I do it very slowly so that at the same time you can also do it with me. So then you will develop an interest. When you do with instructor, you will develop an interest automatically. First thing, to develop the interest, you have to do all the tasks with your instructor. And then you should talk about it with your colleagues, with your subordinates. Show them that what you are learning, right? Talk about it. Do more practice, do more practical, do more practical. That is the only way to learn something, right? Talk about it, do more practicals. Okay. So that's it for the first part.